Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right in. Today, we're unpacking something incredibly profound. Our goal in this explainer is to completely master Hadith number 1 from the Cambridge Islamiyat syllabus. We aren't just going to memorize words on a page, right? We're going to bridge that gap between deep philosophical theory and actual everyday practice. Now, think about this concept. Religion is sincerity. When the companions naturally asked, to whom? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, to Allah, His book, His messenger, the leaders of Muslims, and their common people. It's remarkably concise, but absolutely massive in its scope. He literally summarizes the entirety of the religion into a single concept, sincerity. And he lays out a complete framework for human existence, from our Creator down to the everyday people around us. Okay, let's dive into this. This explainer aligns perfectly with the Cambridge Paper 2 Question 1 format. We are going to cover the core value, individual beliefs for Part A, individual actions for Part B, communal beliefs, communal actions, and finally, how to absolutely master that P2 Q1 exam question. Section 1, the core value, sincerity. Before we break down the specific targets, what does sincerity actually mean in Islam? Well, in Arabic, the word is nasiha. It means devoting yourself with absolute purity of heart. It is the exact opposite of just giving lip service. Sincerity means zero showing off. Think about it. Do you ever catch yourself praying your daily salah in fast-forward motion when you're alone in your room, but the second someone walks in, you suddenly slow down and act completely humble? Yeah, that means you care more about what that person thinks than your actual connection with Allah. True sincerity? Your pace is exactly the same whether you're totally alone or in a crowded room. It also means doing good without regret, like giving charity and not immediately wishing you kept the cash, and acting without that heavy, dragging laziness. Moving on to Section 2, Part A, Individual Beliefs. Let's look at the teachings and faith. So what are Muslims actually taught to believe regarding Allah? First up, total submission. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept. You know when you fill out a long online form, and the moment you click that submit button, the data is gone? You can't take it back. Submitting to Allah is exactly like that. You are handing over your whole self. Your personal desires, they become secondary. You don't get to say, well, there are 5 daily prayers, but I'll only do 4 because I really don't want to wake up for Fajr. Once you've clicked submit, once you've truly submitted your will, you accept all of His commands without cherry picking. Next is sincerity to the Book of Allah, the Quran. We often see the Quran treated almost like an untouched ornament, wrapped in beautiful cloths, placed on the highest shelf in the house. But its actual purpose is an instruction manual. Think about when you buy a complex new machine. It comes with a manual, so you actually know how to operate it, right? The Quran is the instruction manual for human life. Sincerity to the book means accepting it as your ultimate daily guide, embracing its orders, and respecting its prohibitions. Then we have sincerity to the Prophet, peace be upon him. The fundamental teaching here is that true belief requires fully accepting him as the final seal of the prophets, meaning absolutely no prophets after him. It also requires accepting his hadith and his sunnah as the foundational law of Islam. You simply cannot be sincere if you claim to follow the Quran but totally reject the Sunnah. They go hand in hand. All right, Section 3, Part B, Individual Actions. How do we actually implement this? How do you take these profound beliefs and put them into action? Let's start with actions for Allah. The most direct, practical application is praying your 5 daily prayers with genuine humbleness. It's about prioritizing Allah over your immediate self-desires. Let's be real for a second. When it's time for prayer, but you're in the middle of an intense video game, or you're just endlessly scrolling through social media, what do you choose? Actionable sincerity means consciously choosing to pause the game, put the phone down, and prioritize your Creator. And what about practical actions for the Quran? Look, we often get overwhelmed thinking we need to read chapters upon chapters every single day, and when we can't keep that up, we just stop entirely. Instead, try taking pigeon steps. Step 1. Read just one single ayat, just one verse, daily. Step 2, read the translation so you actually understand what it means. Step 3, discuss that one verse with a friend. This small, consistent interaction is far more sincere and impactful than just reading pages mindlessly. Now, let's see how this builds for sincerity to the Prophet. Trying to adopt every single sunnah overnight, that's totally impractical. Instead, adopt them one by one. Pick something simple, like sitting down when you drink water.
Focus on just that one habit for 2 to 3 weeks until you master it. Then pick another. Also, a completely non-negotiable practical action is reciting the Durood, sending blessings upon him every single time you hear his name. Your lips should physically move to honor that right.
Section 4, moving into Part A, communal beliefs regarding society and rights. Shifting our focus to the second half of the Hadith, what are the underlying teachings regarding society? The core belief here is wonderfully simple, but honestly incredibly challenging. You must wish for your brother what you wish for yourself. As a Muslim, you are taught that society only functions when you respect the rights, the dignity, and the property of every single person around you just as fiercely as you protect your own. You absolutely cannot humiliate others and claim to be sincere to the common man.
Section 5, Part B, Communal Actions. Let's look at building society.
So, how do we translate those societal beliefs into direct actions? It's super easy to think of leaders as ancient figures in history books. But how do we show sincerity to our leaders in the modern world, today, right now?
The most practical implementation today is how we use our vote. Sincerity to leaders does not mean blindly voting for someone just because your uncle knows them, or because they belong to a certain family, or just based on personal liking. Actionable sincerity means using your vote highly responsibly. It means selecting the most eligible, upright candidate who will govern justly. And it also means supporting them in their good works once they are actually in power.
And what about actions for the common man? Well, it starts right where you are. You can't say you want to help society if you won't even help your own family. Be sincere at home by not lying and by being helpful. Be sincere to your classmates by stopping them when they do wrong and supporting them when they do right. Crucially, it means respecting your home staff, the cleaners, the guards, the helpers, without ever degrading them due to their status. And finally, it requires absolute justice. If your best friend gets into a fight at school, and your best friend is the one in the wrong, sincerity means acknowledging they are wrong, not blindly taking their side just because of loyalty. Section 6, Mastering Paper 2 Question 1 for Exam Success. Okay, for those of you studying Cambridge Islamiyat 2058, how does all this structured knowledge actually turn into marks? The reality of the mark scheme is straightforward, but it's dangerous. You'll be asked to describe the teachings, which is Part A, and then explain how to put them into action, which is Part B. Here is the biggest trap students fall into. Because each part is only worth 2 marks, students write 2 quick lines and move on. Listen, you cannot describe a hadith with this many layers, Allah, the book, the prophet, the leaders, the people, in 2 lines. Despite being 2 marks, Part A demands a well-developed, multi-line explanation of the beliefs and theology. Part B similarly requires specific, real-world examples of how you implement those teachings today. So, the crucial point is, don't let the low mark value fool you into giving a shallow answer. Address every single component of the hadith in both sections to secure full credit. We've covered the teachings and the actions, both individual and communal, but the entire concept of nasiha, of absolute sincerity, comes down to this one thought. When you are completely alone, when the door is shut and no one else is in the room, are your actions just as sincere as when the whole world is watching? If you can align those 2 versions of yourself, you have truly mastered the blueprint of this hadith. Thank you for joining this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.